Hey guys, it's Caroline again. Today I have a book tag for you. It's the Time Capsule Book Tag, and basically what this tag is you pick 5 books to put in a time capsule for some alternate universe or some future of Earth to dig up and discover. And the 5 books all have a purpose. One of them is for entertainment, one of them is to evoke emotion, one of them is for enlightenment or to learn from our mistakes, one of them is to teach our culture, and finally, the last one is to show the importance of reading. So I've picked my 5 books out. They're all books I own. There are some other books I would have included if I didn't own them, but to make this a little challenge for me, I decided to pick only books I own. The first one is entertainment. Now I went back and forth between a few books. I really like sci-fi and fantasy, so I was like Harry Potter, Jim Butcher, The Inheritance Cycle, Christopher Paolini, obviously Harry Potter's J.K. Rowling, and what I decided was on the 4th Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It's pretty old, so I'm not sure if my camera could actually focus on that, but my copy is really bent up. I got, chunks falling out. You can see the binding. It's been a well-loved book. I have another copy, don't worry. This isn't the one I actually read. I'm sure there are pages missing. But I decided on this one because it's my favorite Harry Potter book, and it's also one of the largest books, so for entertainment I figured this would take a while to get through. So the second book's purpose is to evoke emotion. A lot of authors are really good at this, but my favorite... Yikes, did you see that? My camera just fell. But my favorite in particular is John Green, DFTBA. So I chose his newest book, The Fault in Our Stars, because this book had me laughing at parts and crying at others, and I don't usually cry at books or movies. It takes a lot for me to cry at something, so I figured this was a good one to choose. I don't know, maybe in the distant future or in the alternate reality they won't know what cancer is, so it won't hit home as hard to them, but I just thought that he's wonderful at doing this. The third book is to enlighten, to learn from our mistakes, and I chose Brave New World. Now, Brave New World was written in the 1930s, I believe, by Aldous Huxley, and this is what he thought the 2000s would be like. I guess, maybe not the 2000s, but the future. And I think that this book is a great book to choose because he basically said, look at what's going to happen to us if we don't cut this out. We need to evolve as a human and not teach people, how to act, not brainwash them. Humanity is a wonderful thing. Well, I think that this book is so important because it's still a future that I can see. We're not that extreme as they are in that book, but, it's still a possibility. It's still something that is a very realistic possibility for the future. And I think the fact that it's lasted almost a century, or it's lasted over 80 years, almost a century, is mind-boggling to me. The next one is to show the importance of reading. Now for me, this was kind of a miscellaneous book, but I chose Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. I'm in the process of reading this book now. It came out in 2005. I first read this, I want to say 5 or so years ago. It's a really awesome book. The fact that I loved it enough to remember it, reading it 6 years ago when I was a totally different person, and now decided to pick it up again, speaks volumes to me. The fact that so many different kinds of people can relate to it. It's about the September 11th accident. The main character's father dies. So that's definitely something that happened in our generation. It's the tragedy of my generation. So, next generation it probably won't speak so loudly to. But it's definitely a book that I have a lot of fun reading. It's not a sit down and read it in one book. It's got some heavy aspects and some lighthearted aspects all at the same time, and I really enjoy it. I think that it's a book that it's a really good book. And finally, the last book is to show what our culture is like. I actually chose one of my school books for this. It's The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. I had to read this for school, for one of my classes in university, and it's definitely kind of halfway between a textbook and a reading for pleasure book. The author, it's not quite so dry where you're like, ugh, are we done already? But it's also, again, not a sit down and read in one sitting. And the author, it shows what the internet, the part up here, what the internet does to our brains. or what the internet is doing to our brains. And we live in a very exciting time right now. There's a lot of change happening, a lot of things going on. Things that were never possible before are possible because of the internet. So that's something that I think is really important to not just our generation, but everyone who's alive right now, all of the generations who are alive right now, and likely for generations for, you know, centuries to come. I don't think that the internet is going to just disappear anytime soon, but it also means the way we think is changing, the way we're evolving is changing, who we are as people are changing. So I think this is good. It's scientific, but it also has, you know, examples that we can probably relate to, and I think that that just encapsulates what point in time we're at right now very well. So that's what my time capsule would be. Thanks. Bye.